this is really now time to go to the business, as you said. So may I invite Darío for the first session of the day. Darío is himself quite an active member of several teacher associations in Argentina and involved in various projects on social justice and inclusion. So over to you, Darío.
Thank you, Amal. Hello, everyone. And without further ado, let me introduce the session on teacher associations engaging in localization and devolution activities. And our first presenter today is Joseph Kaleba from class DR Congo. And our second presenter is María Laura García from APIBA, Argentina. And happy birthday, María Laura, by the way. And Joseph, I believe that you are around. So over to you. Please, people, use the chat box to leave your comments. And over to you, Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, Darío, for the floor. And hello, everyone. In this talk, I'm going to speak about the objective and illustrate decentring in the COPs and Congo. Starting by the objective, by the end of this talk, the audience will walk with a satisfactory feeling about how class handles aspects and actions which illustrate decentring, ELT. And for some others, the talk will serve a model for them to adapt in their own context. Class DRC take actions in several ways that illustrate decentring. To start with is the organization of the association. So class DRC leadership is decentring in the sense that we have a national committee, but we have also 4 regions, and each region is responsible for a number of provinces that we call chapters. In this sense, the center being the national committee, but we have all these branches like regions and chapters that also ran in the daily basis without depending totally on the center. We also have some conferences that we organize at the national level, and this rotates around different provinces, like in Kinshasa, in Bukavu, in Goma, and so forth. We also have a collaboration with other neighboring TAs that we work together with. We have TAs in Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania. So we work together without waiting for the ONB or IATFOL, but we work with these associations together in the region. And we also organize the summer schools. The summer schools are run in different chapters without depending on the center, that is the national committee. We organize these during the holidays, the 2 months, and there we train learners from primary, secondary, and university students. There are also vocational people who want also to learn English, like drivers, doctors, and whatever. We decenter even the WhatsApp management. Class DRC has a national WhatsApp group where teachers, be it members or no, all of them are in that WhatsApp group. We didn't isolate those who are not our active members. But in addition to this national WhatsApp group, we have also each region has their WhatsApp group and each chapter. And the managers of this WhatsApp group are those leaders who are local, and the national level does not really control over this, but we report sometimes for the harmony of the things. We also encourage the formation of English clubs. In some schools, we create English clubs and we empower learners and students in those schools to run these English clubs on their own. The live example is ESP English Club in Bukavu, where students have been ruling this for now 5 years, and they elect their leaders without depending on the center, that is the national committee. We also encourage the local collaboration through COPs that is community of practice. And then I can illustrate this because in 2019, class organized a set of sessions in 3 provinces, like North Kivu, South Kivu, and Chopo. So in Bukavu, 30 teachers were trained, and Goma 40, and Kisangani 50. And in all these 3 provinces, 5 COP leaders were trained to run their COPs on their own. So the table that I don't know if you can see the table. The table shows the 5 COPs in each of these towns. You can see even the number of members in each COP, and you can see even the name of these COPs as it is there. So in total, we have 15 COPs, and each COP has a leader, and each leader collaborates with other leaders in the town. But the good of this is that teachers do not walk long distances to join their COPs. And the reason why we split Keshero in Goma into 2 COPs is that Keshero being that big, and we anticipated that teachers would be walking long distances, so we split it Keshero 1 and Keshero 2. In these COPs, the participation is voluntary, and we help each other to build our own expertise, and we make confidence as we share our experience with other colleagues. It really helps us save time, and we reach our goal in the sense that we share material, and we discuss teaching tips and issues that we come across on the daily basis. And we also give opportunity to network. And this also focuses on teaching issues. We really avoid administrative problems that we can't solve. And we acknowledge other people's contribution, and we use questions instead of statements. So people are really humble in the sense that there is no one who imposes their ideas, but we value each one's contribution. And we also have fun in these COPs. The teachers in each COP meet regularly. They have their timetable depending on their own context. They may decide to meet once a week or once a month, because the way people meet in Bukavu is not that way they meet in Goma and Kisangani. They adapt themselves to their own circumstances, and they really share teaching materials and the classroom practices. And in these decentered forums, teachers are aware of the ways of how much they can learn from each other and not to network successfully. And in such activities, that is the COP activities, we encourage local members to participate and share their classroom concern. And we are satisfied in the sense that we have good report from these different COPs, but they are learning, they are working in isolation, but we keep connecting with the others. So this is in short what I wanted to share with you. If you think you can also try it in your context, it can be good. If there is any question regarding how we run these COPs, I will be happy to share my experience. Thank you very much, and look forward to hearing from you on next stages of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph, indeed. And again, we encourage those with us today to share their comments in the chat box or leave questions for later. Maria Laura, over to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Darío, and thank you for this invitation. Thank you, Homey Trust, for your constant support, for supporting two of our initiatives, special interest groups and APIBA on Tour. Today, I'll be sharing some of our initiatives, such as APIBA on Tour. I'll be talking on behalf of the executive committee and part of it. APIBA is a local association located in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and since its foundation 50 years ago in 1971, APIBA provides access to professional development opportunities for its members. For example, it organizes different events such as an annual seminar, an conference, monthly special interest groups meetings, and webinars. APIBA's objective is, one of APIBA's objectives is to foster links among teachers and student teachers in the city and the wider province of Buenos Aires. For this reason, APIBA has developed different programs, different initiatives to empower local teachers. And today I'm going to be talking about three: APIBA on Tour, Call for Nominations, and Good Practice Showcase. APIBA on Tour was launched in 2016 in response to the present need to foster a spirit of collaboration among teachers and teacher trainees, and to support existing initiatives organized by different teacher training colleges and professional development centers. The main purpose of APIBA on Tour is to support the professional development of English teachers. And we know that many teachers live in small cities, and they tend to have fewer opportunities to participate in conferences and training sessions. And sometimes they find it really hard to travel to the city where we mainly host our events, and it's also expensive. And then internet connection tends to be poor. So then we thought that it was a good idea to start planning and organizing this type of program. In 2018, we introduced some changes to APIBA on Tour. What we did, because we mainly wanted to establish partnerships in different regions in the province. We wanted to ensure that the activities were geared towards meeting the needs of local teachers and their classrooms. We didn't want just to take a well-known speaker to deliver a presentation without actually knowing much about the local context. We wanted to include local voices to highlight the relevance of the co-construction of knowledge in collaborative settings. We wanted to invite more teacher training colleges and teacher development centers to be part of APIBA on Tour. So that's how we started organizing a kind of new version of APIBA on Tour. And this is how it works. APIBA contacts different teacher training colleges and different development centers to present the program, and the partnered institutions, the different institutions accept or agree on participating in the program, and we start organizing our agenda and planning our school year. We usually start this before starting the school year because it needs a lot of organization. We usually visit different locations, one per month, because then we also have our other events to organize. And we need to check budget because we are talking about going to distant places or places that are more than 1 hour away from where we live in the city. So our partnered institutions select relevant topics, select local speakers, and invite student teachers to participate and to share ideas or to give presentations as part of APIBA on Tour. And we accept recommendations because sometimes local partners want us to take a specific speaker or a specialist in a specific area. So we start planning the tour, and we design flyers, we design the certificates, and these events usually take place on Saturdays because teachers have more time to participate, and well, the whole APIBA on tour, the spirit of APIBA on tour is to provide opportunities for sharing experiences, ideas, teaching techniques, pedagogical resources between in-service and experienced teachers, novice teachers, and future teachers. These are some snapshots of some photos of part of our events, and you can follow and check more online on our social networks on Facebook and Instagram. And in order to select the speakers, we started in 2019 with a new initiative, the second one I want to present today, that we called this APIBA Call for Nominations. The aim of this is to invite our members to identify new speakers for future events. So we started selecting most of our speakers based on members' recommendations, and we invited new voices to participate of our events such as APIBA on Tour or online events or our annual seminar. We did this in 2019 and 2020, and it was really useful because then what happened to us was that we couldn't visit different locations in 2020 because of the pandemic. So we started delivering online initiatives, online events such as APIBA webinar series, and we try to balance to find a balance between renowned speakers or those who usually participate in ELT events and new voices. We wanted to give a place or an opportunity to new voices to share their experiences. We in 2019 and 2020, and then of course 2021, we started inviting the speakers that were recommended by our members. And then the third initiative I would like to share is called the Good Practice Showcase. In general, we usually participate when we attend events, what we call, there's usually a slot for Good Practice Showcase in which teachers share something that worked for them. But this time we wanted to make a change as part of our annual seminar, and we wanted future teachers, student teachers, to present samples of their work. So we invited a group of students from different teacher training colleges to give a presentation. And this proved to be really an enriching experience for all our members and for future teachers, because in most of the cases was the first time they were preparing a presentation, writing an abstract, and rehearsing and getting ready for an online event such as our annual seminar. And it was very inspired for all teachers that were taking part of the annual seminar. So then this kind of image or word clouds somehow summarizes APIBA's work as a local teacher association, because our work is about building a strong professional network, and it's about fostering understanding, solidarity, and inclusion among teachers. We really want to reach all our members and to empower them. So we're constantly looking for new strategies. We try to develop new programs so that they can, more members can participate of our events, and we can reach more teachers and of course future teachers. Our work is about recognizing local expertise and promoting local knowledge. So thank you, Darío, for and the Hornby Trust for this invitation and this opportunity. And just like Joseph, I'm open to questions later on.
Thank you, Maria Laura, and thank you, Joseph, for sharing with us such amazing cases. Okay, now let's move forward, and the cases to be shared now will be on teacher associations encouraging members to share recent successes and engage in teacher research. And again, whether you are interested in Joseph or Laura's story or the ones to come, please use the chat box to leave your comments and or questions. In the case of sharing recent successes, the first case will be reported by Krishna Dixit from AINET in India. And following Krishna, we will listen to Sagun Shrestha from NELTA, Nepal, who will be presenting the second case. So Krishna, if you are around.
Yeah.
There you are. The floor is all yours now. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me. I hope the slide is visible now.
It is.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Darío. Thank you, Hornby Trust, for this wonderful opportunity for involving us in this great event. So good evening from India, good morning, good afternoon to others who are joining from elsewhere. On behalf of AINET, I am presenting a case study of its teacher research initiative. In short, we call it AINET Try, which can be taken as a step toward decentering ELT. So without much ado, let me quickly share with you all the flow of this presentation. So I'll begin with the story so far, and then say a few things about people involved in this activity and the processes that we all went through. And then I'll conclude with an overview of the lessons learned and insights gained through this activity. So without much ado, so let me present the story. It all began in 2016. The roots of this teacher research initiative can be traced back to AINET international conferences. After every conference, we got the feedback about presentations indicating issues with the quality of the things that were presented. And participating teachers also shared their concerns about what to present and how. So we decided to work with teachers and help them to present things that mattered most to teachers as well as to the audience, to the participants. So without any idea, or let's say any pre-meditation, long deliberations about how this activity would evolve in future, so we launched a teacher research initiative under the title Exploring Learners and Learning of English in 2016. So we issued a call and about 40 teachers showed their interest in joining and joined eventually. So next year, we decided to continue considering the encouraging support of teachers in the first round. So we ran it under ARMS scheme, which was launched then. So the distinguishing thing about ARMS avatar of Try is its restrictive focus on topics for exploration. We were asked to choose one from the 4 topics. So we went ahead with exploring assessment practices in ELT with 34 teachers. And then we set off with Try 3 in 2019. But as everybody knows, we couldn't continue because of the pandemic. So we aborted it after a few initial interactions and 2 orientation workshops with 2 groups of teachers. This was the largest group in Try. It involved about 140 teachers from 3 different regions of India, namely Maharashtra, Telangana, and Delhi. Now we are in the planning phase of launching Teacher Research Initiative 4. So in all 3 iterations, we had teachers working from the primary level to the tertiary level, and we never experienced any friction or conflicts. So everybody worked together in collaborative fashion. Irrespective of the level of teaching, the topics explored were similar. Teachers wanted to explore the grammar, vocabulary teaching practices, student behavior, classroom management, and things like that. So the procedures involved were something like this. We began with identification of a few broad areas. So that was the starting point. Then narrowing down through continuous conversations to one area, followed by translating that one particular chosen area into a researchable topic, and then formulating a research question. And then we had orientation workshops where participant teachers were given idea about data collection tools, the data collection process, and later analysis of that data. And we also help teachers in presenting their studies in academic events, for example, like in our annual AINET international conferences. And then we also led teachers in the preparation of final reports. So if taken a bird's eye view, two things stand out. The process of engaging or engagement involved several ups and downs, and there was a lot of back and forth movement. Some teachers took months to formulate research questions, and then they revised because they were not happy. They found that, okay, they had something else in their minds. So some were so dissatisfied that they completely abandoned the research questions on which they worked very hard and were found thinking afresh. So another thing that stands out is self-doubt and questioning this whole activity. They questioned the whole process. They said that who will take us seriously? We are just teachers. We are not experts. What is the validity of the work, this research that we are undertaking? So who will read and who will listen to us? So it took rounds of conversation, hours of conversation to impress upon them that their voice and their views are as important and as crucial as that of quote unquote experts in the domain. And lastly, in spite of all the shocks and jerks, none disappeared, not discontinued. So they liked being in the company of these teacher researchers sharing. So in all, what I can say is they learned to trust themselves. They found that, okay, they had something to share and they could also undertake some serious venture on their own. So in all, they were motivated to learn. So what is special or unique about this initiative that indicates this activity as a step toward decentering? Well, so it was a teacher-driven activity. It was teachers, they decided to start this. So they determined how it should progress, how it should move. So they took decisions about all phases, all activities. For example, time scale. We didn't impose any time frame for completing any phase or any step of that activity. As I said a while ago, some teachers took months to frame research questions. We started in 2016 and it went on for 4 or 5 months in identifying and in formulating the research question. And after working hard, so in some cases, they completely abandoned it. They said that, okay, I want to do something else. So they were in charge fully. Its emergence is completely organic. It wasn't suggested or recommended by any outsiders, neither from anybody from AINET. Teachers felt doing it on their own. They liked it. It was their desire in the initial stages. It was their desire to present something in the conference, to say something valuable. So that triggered their motivation to work, to join this venture. This activity was supported by teachers themselves, and they relied on the local resources. In the initial stages and in the third round, teachers contributed financially as well for organizing workshops. They supported each other, they talked to each other, they read each other's research questions and commented on them. In some cases, it was reported by teachers that listening to each other was the most valued aspect. So it made them believe in themselves. So it was guided by their needs and their priorities. For instance, research topics. A few felt that they should explore the loud reading practices. And they had doubts because loud reading is not such a topic which is valued in ELT discourse. That's what they felt. So, but they wanted to explore it. They felt that their students should be able to read loudly well in classes. Or one teacher wanted to find out the reasons behind cheating in the examinations. So, or one teacher wanted planned the study around exploring how many assessments or tests students take or they have to face in one academic year. So in all, they experimented with all the established norms and standards. For example, some teachers translated their questionnaires so that students can easily follow it. In some cases, questionnaires, the tools were prepared in the local languages. In case of reports, they were written in the story form. Some preferred to present it in the form of posters. So to conclude, this ongoing initiative appears largely successful on several counts in moving towards decentring phenomenon. Firstly, in the capacity building of teachers for their own professional learning. For instance, some of our participant teachers have decided to continue their education. So some have undertaken more activities. So they are engaged in materials preparation, in trying out information technology in teaching. And some teachers are collaborating with teachers from other regions and so on. So what has happened is dialogue and debate has set in. So teachers have come out of their comfort zone. Earlier, they used to say that I'm just a teacher, I'm not expert. I am supposed to do the things which I'm told to do. So now they have come out of this. So they're taking interest in several areas of ELT. If I had to give you one concrete example, I can say teachers have participated very actively in tweet chats. AINET has organized tweet chats, and they have voiced their concerns about views about homework and student learning habits during pandemic in online mode and things like that. So secondly, AINET is documenting these teachers' voices and views. So far, we have published 2 conference selections, which includes teacher research initiative activity, reports about teacher research initiative and teacher studies as well. AINET is also creating opportunities for teachers to disseminate their studies through presentations in events. We are also supporting teachers in presenting their studies in academic events. That's right.
Sorry to interrupt, Krishna. Could you please round up?
Yeah, just 1 point, 1 minute. And lastly, drawing on this work, we at AINET are researching and attempting to theorize these local practices and perspectives on ELT. So we are planning to publish all studies conducted so far in a separate volume with a detailed commentary to it. So thank you so much for your hearing and for this wonderful opportunity to share our views on this platform. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Sagun, where are you?
Yeah,
there you are.
Yeah,
lovely.
Let me share my. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Darío, and thanks organizers for this wonderful opportunity. Today, I'll be talking about sharing success stories and enhancement approach to teacher development as a Decentring ELT initiative. So outline of my presentation, just a second, sorry. Outline of my presentation, it's first of all, I'll be talking what exactly it is sharing success stories. Secondly, I will highlight the way we organize different events, let's say under sharing success stories modality. And thirdly, benefits of sharing success stories. And finally, I will talk about future implications, So first, sharing success stories. It's actually sharing success stories in teaching learning context in general, which you as a teacher have implemented in your own classroom, some strategies or the new techniques that you have devised and explored, or any teaching tips that you have experimented and found effective. So if you share the success stories, this is what fall under sharing success stories, or it can also comprise your successful projects that you have carried out for your teaching and learning or classroom management strategies that you have successfully handled. So where is the root then? Like, how did I bump into this, teacher development model? Back in 2013, Richard Smith and Amol Padwat came as facilitators and then facilitated the training workshop. It was a Hornby regional workshop entitled Teaching in a Low Resource Classrooms. They asked us to share success stories. At the time, I was wondering how, in a workshop, like facilitators coming from some other parts of the world and asking just us to share our success stories. So, I was wondering, I was, questioning the classical teacher development model then. But later, once we completed this sharing success stories, in the regional workshop, Hornby regional workshop, then I found, gosh, it has got a massive potential as a teacher development model. Then we started organizing few events. First of all, I would like to highlight what we did there. In particular, the Hornby regional workshop, we were invited, first of all, to recall a story related to our success that was achieved in our classroom and share it informally in a small group. Next, we were asked to share a story in a different group. Then finally, we were asked to share a story with a different partner. So when we, shared further and further, we brushed up our stories and made them more specific and comprehensible. And in a way, we celebrated our work then. So what we did later, as I said earlier, as I found its massive potential as a teacher development model, we started organizing few events following this model. So the first one was teacher training workshop. It was organized by NELTA. So in Morong, the eastern part of Nepal in the Tarai belt, we organized a teacher training workshop. And again, teachers who shared success stories back then, like they happened to participate quite a lot, or they, started talking about achievements. They enjoyed the process. And we found it really works well in the local context as well. Then what we did is we proposed, secondly, we proposed the NELTA ELT clinic as a session in the NELTA ELT conference, NELTA conference. So it was the 21st International Conference of NELTA. We proposed a special session entitled NELTA. Around 50 participants attended, and they talked about their successes and explored solutions for their own problems from one another. So in this let's say event, what we did little differently is we also asked the teachers to state their problems at the very beginning, and then identify which of the success stories their friends have shared actually could address their problems, puzzle, or concerns. A little bit different, we just changed the modality. Again, it was received so well. Then we thought, how about taking it further? Then what we did is we organized conference as a success story itself. First success story conference, which was organized LRI school cut for Nepal. Again, NELTA supported because NELTA president came and spoke there as well. So in this conference, again, the basic focus was to make the teachers share their success stories and talk about their achievements and learn from one another. So there were 28 presentations from different schools. So, and this is the program booklet for Success Story Conference of Teachers. Yeah, this is the, one of the pictures. One of the teachers who was sharing her success stories to her fellow teachers. And later on, again, as the first success story conference went well, there was the second success story conference as well. So now it's going on. So what we did in the success story conference was we asked the teachers to share what exactly went well in their classroom teaching and learning and what steps they followed as well, so that by explaining the steps to the fellow teachers, they would learn how exactly they did, so that they can implement or they can adopt or adapt it to their own local settings. So as it went well, and we thought now we can take it further away from Nepal as well. So what we did is we organized binational, that means between two nations, Nepal and Bangladesh, because we share similar context. We organized binational success story forum. So now I myself, Saifa Haq from Bangladesh, Dr. Ramasisgiri and Saraswati Dawadi, we collaborated each other. Again, we took help of NELTA, British Council, and then we organized this binational success story event. For details, you can find this in www.successstoryforum.wordpress.com. You can see all the presentations which are uploaded in YouTube, all the PowerPoint slides, everything there. So see, this is the binational success story for program schedule. 24 teacher presenters, their sessions, like 8 from Bangladesh, and then there were 13 from Nepal, and altogether 21 proposals, 13 from Nepal and 8 from Bangladesh. So altogether 24 teachers presented their success stories under different themes. We thematized them later, communications skill, technology in teaching and learning, writing skills, and so on. So there were 5 sharing sessions, each session of 2 hours, and we also made them, comment on each of this presentation at the end as well. So this went well. Right now, what we are planning is, we are planning to publish a book that comprises of 17 success stories of teachers and teacher educators of Nepal and Bangladesh. And the proposed title is, because the success story forum we organized during pandemic, the title is Enhancement Approach and Teacher Success Stories, How Teachers of Nepal and Bangladesh Acted During Crisis, because this was particularly during crisis. And there are also stories of normal times, and other times. So this is just the proposed title and proposed book cover. Hopefully it will be available in 2021 soon, because we are editing right now. The benefits of this model then, sharing success story model or enhancement approach, as it focuses on strengths of teachers. It creates a platform for learning by building on teachers' successful experiences and their perspectives on their successes. As these success stories come from the similar context, it always encourages other colleagues to try out the strategies which they share, because they come from the similar context. It places teachers at the center as opposed to teacher trainers or experts at the center. So it involves teachers to guide other teachers, fellow teachers as well. In this kind of teacher development model, the facilitator's role is to simply push teachers to share their success stories in a more systematic and meaningful way. And they also build sometimes rationale for success stories by replacing the idea that good ideas have come from the other parts of the world or from the experts. Now, this kind of events have proved to be highly productive platform, because teachers love to celebrate and exchange their own successes. And we have got the same feedback as well. Again, this kind of platforms, this kind of events assist the participants in establishing and expanding a wider community. As you can see how we expanded ourselves. It's bottom up in nature, thus directly addresses their own contextual issues and concerns. Teachers are encouraged to apply teaching strategies that their colleagues share with them in their immediate classroom. Now, how you may organize then? You can create any kind of platforms where the teachers can come together and share their success stories. As you can see, we also have modified to some extent. And you may ask them to think of and share a successful teaching and learning experience from their recent experiences. So this is how you can do it. So future implications, it can be practiced as an effective teacher development model, as we have found it's effective, has high transferability, because again, they are more approach. It's low cost because you don't need to hire the expert again. So it fits, we believe, like all sorts of contexts. Helps to motivate teachers in their profession with the available resources and within their own existing constants. We don't need to worry too much. I have taken help from, again, Smith and Shrestha 2019's presentation, which we made in the Future of Training conference, IELTS London in 2019. So that's it. And these are the references. If you want to go through some of the, reports or writings that we have done, you might find them useful. Thanks a lot. And if you have any comments and questions, I will be there as well at the end. Now it's at the end. So over to you, Darío. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagun. Well, congratulations to everyone on such inspiring and powerful cases. And I'd like to welcome back all the presenters, the 4 presenters. And let's also welcome Martin Weddell, Vivek Joshi, and Padmini Borua, who will be sharing with us what's been going on in the chat box.
Right. Hello, everyone. Well, the chat box has really been heating up in the last 10 minutes or so, there's been a torrent of things. I mean, I think if one thinks of the wonderful 4 presentations, they've really all been involved with thinking about how teachers can reconceptualize their roles and capacities, this breaking their isolation. And one of the themes that initially in the chat box came up was the sort of general resonance of the idea of communities of practice, and whether they're actually called communities of practice or called something similar. This idea of small groups of teachers supporting each other resonated greatly, with comments from Rwanda and Bangladesh. And I mean, though nobody made the link, I mean, I think one could say Krishna and Sagun's groups were both also in their own ways communicative practice. Anything from you, Vivek or Padmini, about this notion of teachers supporting each other in communities of practice?
Yes, Martin, thank you for that. I think we've heard a similar strand in the Facebook comments section. A lot of people have been talking about the fact that there's been a lot of similarity across the initiatives that have been taken in different countries. And for example, 2 participants from India have mentioned their arms journey, the British Council projects that support teacher research, and also about the teacher activity groups that are in Maharashtra, in the state of Maharashtra in India. So there's been a lot of work, similar work that's been going on, and people have appreciated that and also seen the kind of connections between these practices, although they are in very different contexts of use. The keywords that I picked up from the discussions were, collaboration and partnership. The Krishna's mention of learning to trust themselves, teachers trust themselves. A lot of people liked that idea, and we've had people saying that these, the sessions, the sharing sessions today, the 4 sessions have been extremely practical, and so they're taking back a lot of ideas, I think. There has been a concern, of course, from one participant about the fact that communities of practice are a good idea. They start well, but then sustaining them may become a problem. So this Jani Reddy from India says that this may be a challenge. So that's something that perhaps we need to be discussing a little more, ways of sustaining such initiatives. I think a lot of ideas have also come from these 4 presentations, but I'm sure speakers and other participants would have a lot to suggest on how to sustain such initiatives. So one of the ways of sustaining is something that the same member of the audience mentioned, which was documentation of the success story. So I suppose documentation, people are really liking the idea of documenting success stories, finding platforms for teachers to voice, even explore ideas that have traditionally been considered no longer in vogue. So where centers of discourses have devalued practices such as reading aloud, as Krishna mentioned. So people have appreciated all of these ideas that are coming out of these smaller studies and opportunities for teachers to share. I think at this point I have just these. There's been a lot of appreciation for all the success stories that we just heard, all the experiences, and I'm sure we'll be learning more from the responses to the questionnaire. So thank you, and over to Vivek.
Hello all. I'm very thankful to the presenters who have contributed their own expertise in different contexts. And what interests me and the watchers on the YouTube was these activities are context sensitive, developed by context sensitive strategies developed by the teachers. So they develop their own strategies based on their experiences and requirements. And what I found interesting in Krishna Kalyan is, and there is echo about this feeling on the transaction on YouTube, that these teachers are the center at these activities. They are the centers of these activities. And then another interesting thing that Joseph shared with us in this presentation, and he thought of, maybe he brought in very important issue of promotion of local knowledges. And that was also need-based local knowledges. And Maria's autonomous professional networking routine was a matter of interest for many watchers on YouTube. That's all from me, Martin.
Okay, thank you. There were a couple of other points, more general points made, but one I think that perhaps we could ask the speakers to respond to. Monitoring and control. How do we actually know if what we think we're doing works? I wonder if any of the speakers would like to respond to that. How do we look at what we do and come to a conclusion? Sagun, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, because what we did is, after organizing a success story conference, we collected feedback from participants as well. So participants' feedback, I think, can suggest, because they told, like, this is really going well, or it's being effective. So collecting feedback from them, or immediate questionnaire as well. So I think that could be one of the steps to monitor our own activities, whether to find, like, how it went. So which we did as well.
Thank you, Sagun. Yeah, but if you think that some of our goals are quite ambitious, the sort of recognizing local expertise and local knowledge, helping people to develop self-confidence and build up a different perception of what they're able to do. Do we actually sort of explore that ever in any systematic way, or is it sort of anecdotal how we the extent to which we feel it's successful?
Is it the question for me, or I can see Joseph?
It's a question for anyone, I guess. No, sorry, not just for you, Sagun. Joseph, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to come back to the first question on how we can just see how successful or impactful the activities that we're doing. And in the example of DRC, we most of the time receive instant feedback through the WhatsApp group, because sometimes we come to the national WhatsApp group and we put questions about what is going on here and there, and people keep on reporting on what they are doing. And sometimes when there is a question or an issue, we even sort it out at the national level. So this is one of the ways that we check how things are being done, and we can evaluate saying, this is going well here, and this can be improved this way. Thank you.
Thank you. A connected question, I suppose. In fact, the only question that there has been on the Zoom platform is, any challenges during your journeys? How did you address them? Would anyone, I mean, obviously in the time available, we're focusing on what went well, but are there any challenges that you've experienced as you tried to do what you hoped to do?
Can I?
Again, Joseph, if your hand's still up, if you'd like to respond to that, or anyone else. All right, everybody. Krishna, why don't you have it? Let us know.
Yeah, there are so many challenges, but it depends on, I mean, how we think about challenges. If we think about this issue of challenge from the teacher's perspective, and from the people, like, for example, I was a participant in the first round, but later I got into the role of supporting teacher researchers in the second round. So from the supporters' point of view, it could be a challenge because things are not moving as I am planning or as I'm thinking. But from the teacher's point of view, yes, I mean, they are struggling, they are trying to make sense. So being with teacher and trusting teachers and going by their rhythm, I mean, that helps. So it may not fit in the given the project time frame. So it may spill over, and it in some cases, in our experience, it is still continuing. And we don't look at it as a failure. And it's not even something wrong with the teachers. So it's like believing teachers and going with them. So, I mean, that helps us in resolving this issue of challenge. That's what I think from my limited experience.
Right. I suppose one could say that, you know, it's a challenge to actually understand the process like that in the first place, you know, for in some contexts, you know. Yeah. Thank you, Krishna. Joseph, you.
Yes, thank you once more for the question, for the floor, sorry. We face so many challenges, but just let me just mention one of them. When we created the COPs, we had some people keep coming, and we thought it could be a good idea to welcome all of them. But in the end, we realized that some who came late did not really understand the rationale for the COPs. They thought it could be a set of opportunities. People will be now receiving the scholarships, they will be traveling. But when they noticed that it was just all about meeting, sharing, and they couldn't really see what they were expecting, some of them started leaving without even telling us. And we found that it could be a threat for some COPs to close. So what we did now to sort out this problem is now we reinforce the WhatsApp group collaboration, trying to remind some of the key things and showing to people clearly that the COPs are only for members' benefit with the local initiatives, and it should not replace a platform where people will be coming just to grasp the opportunities and whatever. And some of them accepted, we still keep them. Others could not really understand and they have gone away. But the good thing is that even two persons, we encourage them to become even critical friends so that they can go on in reaching one another's successful work. This is how we are trying to meet this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Padmini, you had, do you want to add anything? Oh, okay. I mean, one other interesting comment that there was on in the chat box was that publishers and organizations don't realize what is actually happening. And I mean, I think with the suggestion that there's need for wider exposure of what teachers actually do and are able to do and are capable of doing, which suggests that all the sort of all the larger or smaller publishing attempts by the various teachers associations that we've heard today are actually important, because assuming that the content is read, but there's this sort of big gap between, if you like, what might be sort of Sagun's volume of success stories and what actually the people who are influential at the center actually understand and see seems to be an issue. How can we make our successes more visible? And anyone got any responses to that?
I would say, sorry, Martin.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I would also like to because I have something to say, I also relate to the challenges, because which I mean, a little bit, and then I'll just come back to your question as well, because I think it will be useful for everyone. So whoever are listening. So when you earlier, little bit connecting to earlier, rather than challenges, I would say, like, things to consider when we organize such events. For example, number one for me is we need to be in a position to spend quite a lot of time to clarify objective process and the entire organization. That's what I have done. That's what I personally felt. Otherwise, if we don't have patience, if we think like, okay, one shot would work, no, because we are working for the very grassroots teachers at times, and we need to clarify even what exactly the conference or how exactly the nature of conference and so on. And sorry, just because it was in my mind, so I just added Martin.
Thanks.
Next is, like, I would say, to your second question, I would say, yeah, publication, it shouldn't be very rigorous academic publication, rather, because we are bringing their own stories out and making it open access. For example, the first one, what we did was, that's different one, ER, Exploratory Action Research. We have made it publicly available through NELTA. So even this as well will make it publicly available. So I mean, let's say bringing their things and a little bit organizing more than eliminating their own voice, but making their voices audible, and then putting it in the open access platform so that everyone can go through it, learn, and then share. I think that way we can enhance, for example.
Thanks, Sagun. Yeah, sorry, can I just go to Vivek, who's been waiting to say something for a moment?
Yeah, and then sorry for the interruption. Then we need to wrap up.
Okay.
Sorry, it's time. So it's time. I will lower my hand. Okay.
Okay. Well, in that case,
I don't want to add.
There's some. I suggest do have a look at the chat. There's some interesting.
Yeah, there is one interesting part
at the moment.
This is based on the presentation by
pointing out.
This is based on the Maria's presentation, and when she discussed about having tour, APIBA tour. So there is one question about what customization would be required if this model is to be followed by other teacher associations in their countries.
Thanks. So please do.
No, it's just to say that in the case of APIBA on tour, is our local association started that program, and we are the only association in the whole country doing that, because it requires a lot of planning and funding as well, and that's one of our main challenges, to make the program visible and to get funding from publishers who can, which can follow us and participate, and then we also need active members who like to be part of the program, and student teachers and local teachers who would like to participate and share what they do.
Thank you. So Darío, are you saying it's time to stop?
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, thank you everyone for your participation in the session, and let me hand back to Amol and Richard.